welcome to The Narrowing Path, Walking the Spiritual Walk. My name is Steve Van Eiderstein, and thank y'all for joining me today for today's daily reading of James Allen's Daily Meditations. This would be April 11th reading, obviously, and, it's been a great couple of readings about transcending evil and transcending your old life, being reborn, things like that. And just, that's always a great theme. That's always a great idea to keep in mind, or a concept to keep in mind, and practice to keep in mind. And I'm looking forward to seeing where today's takes us. This is going to be fresh to you and fresh to me, meaning this will be the first time I read the daily meditation from James Allen right on this podcast. So you'll get my genuine response, reactions, observations, and what I relate to about the reading. So here we go. April 11th of James Allen's Daily Meditations. He is bravo who conquers another, but he who conquers himself is supremely noble. By the way of self-conquest is the perfect peace achieved. Man cannot understand it, cannot approach it, until he sees the supreme necessity of turning away from the fierce fighting of things without and entering upon the noble warfare against evils within. He is already on the saintly way who has realized that the enemy of the world is within, not without, that his own ungoverned thoughts are the source of confusion and strife, that his own unchastened desires are the violators of his peace and of the peace of the world. If a man has conquered lust and anger, hatred and pride, selfishness and greed, he has conquered the world. He who is victorious over another may in turn be defeated, but he who overcomes himself will never be subdued. That one just brings that sense of power, that sense of strength, that sense of righteousness with it. What a great reading that is. The revisiting of the idea of the real enemy is the battle with yourself. It's not the outside world. That will just continue being. That constant fight with external things, whether it be emotions, whether it be people, whether it be institutions. When we fight, there's so much unrest, so much chaos. That's what I was looking for. And it distracts us from making the right decisions. It distracts us from sometimes being able to be decisive. Distracts us from seeing the good and righteous way when we get in that state, because it's a state of fear we're operating out of, right? So let's get started on this. He is bravo who conquers another. Like, he's celebrated. Good job. You conquered somebody else. You're the victorious warrior. You're the, in today's society, political winner. The winning politician, maybe is a better way to say it. There's a lot of contests we have today. But he who conquers himself is supremely noble, because our shortcomings are ours. The things that make us uncomfortable are ours. Every challenge and emotion that we face is our responsibility, and we have to be ultimately accountable for it. So when we overcome those things, we lose the desire to fight the external things, right? He's saying, but he is bravo who conquers another, but he who conquers himself is supremely noble, right? You might be celebrated, but nobility and wisdom and the instead of the temporary approval and applause we get from fighting that external battle with another, we get true and permanent wisdom and understanding and knowledge when we conquer ourselves. The main body of this says, by the way of self-conquest is the perfect peace achieved. That's a pretty definitive statement right there, isn't it? By the way of self-conquest. So by taking a look at our own actions, by taking a look at our own emotions and behaviors and interactions with others, and our own thoughts and our own intentions, by taking a look at those and conquering ourselves, we achieve that perfect peace. Nothing can bother us. We have a knowing. We know what things are about. We know where the problem resides. We know who our greatest enemy is, and it's ourselves. And when that person has been conquered, we cannot be dethroned. We read, I think it was yesterday, was it? Evil can't reach up into the other plane? You can only teach in its own sphere. That's what it said yesterday, and I believe that to be true. Once we overcome and conquer ourselves, we'll no longer be subject to these old behaviors we don't want anymore, that no longer serve us. So we're talking about perfect peace here. Man cannot understand it, cannot approach it, until he sees the supreme necessity, he says here, supreme necessity, something of the utmost importance and need of turning away from the fierce fighting of things without. So to turn away from the fierce fighting of the material world around us. That means people, places, things, institutions, concepts, all of this. When we see the supreme necessity to turn away from fighting those things and entering upon the noble warfare against the evils within, right? The circumstances, because we talked about evil being circumstances, those actions that we take that can harm another, those things that we do that disrupt our chaos, that cause us fear or anxiety, regret, and depression, and worry, and anger, and hatred, and selfishness, and self-centeredness. Those are the things where the battles must need to be won. Because when we can conquer those, we can become unshakable. We're giving clarity, peace of mind, serenity of soul, calm, perfect peace, as he said earlier. But that noble warfare is against the evils within, not the things without, not the things external to us. He is already on the saintly way who has realized that the enemy of the world is within, not without. So just that simple understanding, when you come to that simple understanding that the problem is me, you are well on your way, right? Or at least on your way. I don't know if well is necessary to say, but if you can recognize that, your perspective shift has already taken place. And you can't undo that, is the thing. Once you know you are the problem, you're always going to know you're the problem. That's why all that old stuff doesn't work anymore, right? When we get sober, when we get in mental health recovery, when we stop acting on anger or impulse, when we stop all addictive or distracting behaviors, when we take a look at those, whatever it might be, I named a lot of big ones, but that's where the fight is. Goes on to say that his own ungoverned thoughts are the source of confusion and strife, and his own unchastened desires are the violators of his peace and the peace of the world. So I think this is interesting, because own ungoverned thoughts are the source of confusion and strife. I mean, because that's where we get indecisive. We can't. Our thinking gets all muddled. It gets broken and splintered and fear fueled as to, oh well, what if this person doesn't like that choice or this choice, or if I'm doing the wrong thing here? It gets driven by fear. And our unchastened desires, our animalistic instincts, our lustful thoughts, our gluttonous thoughts, selfishness, and our self-centeredness, right? Those are violators of peace and the peace of the world. It's the inability to check ourselves that causes so much of our pain and our strife. And then also, we inflict that upon others in the world. Like, even if that world is only our immediate family, that's enough to cause chaos and pain. That is the violator of our peace. This line here, second to last, is it was great when I first read it. If a man has conquered lust and anger, hatred and pride, selfishness and greed, he has conquered the world. Right? And he says this because, first of all, that's a good list to take a look at. Lust, anger, hatred, pride, selfishness, and greed. It's quite an extensive list. And when we have conquered those, guess what? We need nothing from this world. We need nothing of its approval, of its materialistic satisfaction, its pleasure-seeking behaviors, anything. We have then therefore conquered it. When we need nothing from something, we have then therefore conquered it. We have conquered this world. We can walk through it head held high with respect and dignity and honor, knowing that I can stand on my own 2 feet and I can live a very, very good life without putting unnecessary demands on my environment or my friends and my family. I get to walk with my head up high, and I don't need anyone's approval to do that. What a blessing that is. And I'll end it here. This will be the last part of today's reading. He who is victorious over another may in turn be defeated. Because that's the nature of war, isn't it? That's the nature of external violence. Violence without... To defeat someone will eventually lead to your own defeat. You will be defeated. You will lose at some point. This is the nature. Violence begets violence. But he who overcomes himself will never be subdued. You will never lose to yourself again. And when you conquer yourself and you remove the value of the things, or if you remove the demands on the external things in your life to give yourself value, you've conquered this world. And you will never fall prey to it again. You'll learn more. You'll see how it shows up in different ways. There will be a period of just constant growth in your life. And that's just such a great thing. It's a freeing thing. Enjoy that. But no, it will never be if you're willing to do this work, every step towards the healing and the understanding and the perspective and the light will be one further away where it can't reach you. So, I'm got it. And there, that's the end of the reading. Absolutely awe-inspiring reading did. I really, really thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to tomorrow's. Really, really looking forward to tomorrow's. Today was amazing, reminding us where to look and where the issue actually lies. So, I hope everyone enjoyed it. Please go ahead and jump onto Facebook and give our Facebook page a like and a follow. This podcast, again, is available now on iTunes podcasts Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, and Amazon and Audible. So all of your favorite places to go and listen to things, it's all on there. So don't hesitate to reach out to us as well and let us know where you're listening from. So thank you everyone for jumping on, and until next time, thanks.